Hey guys, welcome to another episode. My name is Lynn Ngugi, and I know right now you're wondering what's happening between Nigerians and Obama. How does Obama come from being one of the most loved presidents in the entire world to one of the most hated or disliked by Nigerians right now? Why are Nigeria saying that Obama is responsible for the downfall of Nigeria in terms of economy and security? And I know right now we have all acknowledged and we have all come to the realization that Africa needs to save itself. Macron is not coming to save you. Trump is not coming to save you. And obviously, the former president of the United States of America, Barack Obama, did not save any African, according to so many views online. So let's get into it. Well, a video came out last week of US Congressman Scott Perry saying that Obama's administration, that is Obama and Biden's administration, funded Boko Haram through USAID. I know USAID it's a topic of conversation right now, and there are so many revelations coming out of the things that USAID did. But above all, Nigerians hearing that Barack Obama's administration was responsible for funding Boko Haram through USAID is not something that is sitting well with Nigerians. Let's listen to this video first from the US Congressman Scott Perry, where he not only alleges that USAID funded Boko Haram, but it also funded other terrorist groups. And this one specific, the Boko Haram one that carried out terror attacks in Nigeria, Cameroon, Niger and Chad was actually hugely funded by this specific USAID. Let's listen in.
Your money, $697 million annually, plus the shipments of cash funds madrasas, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Boko Haram, ISIS Khorasan, terrorist training camps. That's what it's funding. If you think that the program under Operation Enduring Sentinel, entitled Women's Scholarship Endowment, which receives $60 million annually, or the Young Women Lead, which gets about $5 million annually, is going to women who, by the way, if you read the Inspector General's report, is telling you that the Taliban does not allow women to speak in public. Yet somehow you're believing, and American people are supposed to believe, that this money is going for the betterment of the women in Afghanistan. It is not. You are funding terrorism, and it's coming through USAID. And it's not just Afghanistan, because Pakistan's right next door. USAID spent $840 million in the last 20 years on Pakistan's education-related program. It includes $136 million to build 120 schools, of which there is zero evidence that any of them were built. Why would there be any evidence? The Inspector General can't get in to see them. But you know what? We doubled down and spent $20 million from USAID to create educational television programs for children unable to attend the physical school. Yeah, they can't attend it because it doesn't exist. You paid for it. Somebody else got the money. You are paying for terrorism.
And so, as you can hear, these are huge allegations, huge allegations by Scott Perry, who is saying that not only did USAID fund Boko Haram activities, that is in Africa, Chad, we are talking about Chad, Cameroon, and even Nigeria, but they are also responsible in funding these activities in Afghanistan and Pakistan. But right now, I want us to pay attention to Nigeria so that we might be able to understand why are Nigerians mad and what role did the Obama-Biden administration play in all this. For us to be able to understand this, we need to go back to 1999, right? So we are looking at Nigeria in 1999. Obasanjo is coming to power. Him and his administration, they are coming to power. And at this particular moment, Nigeria is bad, like way, way bad. We are talking about it being the fourth biggest economy in Africa, but with a GDP of 58 billion and also a national debt of $35 billion. So things are obviously not going well in Nigeria. But when Obasanjo comes in just 3 years, he's able to drive his economy, and we can see there's this huge growth rate in Nigeria. Actually, it's 15.8% economic growth rate that is happening in Nigeria. Things are looking up. The digital economy is growing. Some people in Nigeria have actually said the Obasanjo administration was one of the best they witnessed in Nigeria. So you are looking at this particular administration that cares about its people. It's doing the right things by the people. It's driving the economy. It's growing the economy. They are doing, you know, the net export of cement is definitely increasing. They are doing competitive bidding when it comes to the oil blocks. The digital economy is blossoming. So by the time Obasanjo leaves office and we have seen now Jonathan come in, the economy of Nigeria has stabilized. Not only is Nigeria becoming the biggest economy in Africa, so we are talking about Nigeria being bigger than South Africa, being bigger than Kenya, being bigger than Tanzania, being bigger than Uganda. Nigeria is the biggest economy in Africa. And you remember, we are talking about a national debt of 35 billion, which they've done massive wonders in clearing that. But remember, the GDP of that particular nation was 58 billion. Now you get into a place where the GDP is 568 billion by 2014. So even by the time by the time Obasanjo is leaving office and you have Goodluck and his administration coming in, the economy of Nigeria is really stabilized, right? But something else is happening in Nigeria around 2014. I know Boko Haram started way back. Actually, some sources will even tell you Boko Haram started in 2002. But around 2013, 2014, things are really looking bad for Nigeria. Remember this, you have an economy that has stabilized, but then there's this terror group that is coming up aggressively around 2014. So by 2014, you can see a lot of aggressive activities by Boko Haram, right? And remember, even as this is happening, the Goodluck Jonathan administration is willing to have a conversation with Boko Haram, because right now what the Nigerian army is doing, the Nigerian army also becomes really aggressive, and we can see a lot of people in Boko Haram surrendering. So this is actually something that you can tell the Nigerian government is able to tackle, because at this particular moment, not only are they defeating Boko Haram, but we can see a lot of surrender from this particular terror group. But they even actually go ahead and seek mediation, and they seek mediation in terms of amnesty. They are saying, if you surrender, we are going to give you, we are going to pardon you, we are going to give you amnesty. You can tell they want peace in this particular country. And let's not joke about Nigeria, by the way, guys. We are talking about minerals in Nigeria. You have the minerals, you have the oil, you have the cement. It is the biggest economy in Africa, and I don't want us to lose this. But even as Jonathan's administration is calling for a mediation between Boko Haram and the government, Boko Haram says, no, we don't want peace. By the way, we don't want peace. We want violence. So you are looking at all these things happening in 2014, right? In this particular year, in 2014, the election is 2015. I need you guys to be able to, don't forget that particular part, because we are going to tie in the ropes between 2014 and 2015, because I believe this is when so many things start happening in Nigeria. And who is in power? Of course, in America. Barack is in power in America. So they continue fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting. And this fight brings us to one of the most internationally publicized event in Nigeria. This is the Chibok schoolgirls kidnapping. You remember, guys? Bring back our girls. You remember that? It was actually widely covered internationally. This was, even here in Kenya, you would wake up and you hear that Boko Haram, they have kidnapped almost 250 something girls in Nigeria, and the whole world went crazy. So you're waking up as a president. So I'm imagining Jonathan right here. He wakes up. Not only is he fighting for a better Nigeria, not only is this terror group saying we don't want peace, we want violence, but you wake up to the news that over 200 school girls are missing. And who has kidnapped these particular girls? Boko Haram. And now the whole world is outraged. You have celebrities with placards in, red carpets, holding these placards of bring back our girls. You have the whole international media criticizing the Nigerian government of not responding quickly to this disaster. And obviously you have Michelle Obama. And this is actually the first time Michelle Obama would appear instead of Barack Obama to give a statement on the same. And let me see if we can be able to get that video where Michelle Obama is speaking about the Chibok girls incident.
Hello everyone, I'm Michelle Obama, and on this Mother's Day weekend, I want to take a moment to honor all of the mothers out there and wish you a happy Mother's Day. I also want to speak to you about an issue of great significance to me as First Lady, and more importantly, as the mother of 2 young daughters. Like millions of people across the globe, my husband and I are outraged and heartbroken over the kidnapping of more than 200 Nigerian girls from their school dormitory in the middle of the night. This unconscionable act was committed by a terrorist group determined to keep these girls from getting an education. Grown men attempting to snuff out the aspirations of young girls. And I want you to know that Barack has directed our government to do everything possible to support the Nigerian government's efforts to find these girls and bring them home.
All right, so you can hear that's Michelle Obama criticizing this act by Boko Haram and urging, the government of Nigeria to do what it has to do to bring back the girls, and even saying that Barack Obama has directed that, Nigeria be accorded whatever help they need in order to bring back the girls. I want to imagine that I honestly took part in that whole situation when I personally also heard that over 200 young girls had been kidnapped from their school dormitory. That didn't look like, it did not look right, and it was not supposed to. And given that we still have hundreds of these young girls who are still missing, that still does not sit right? But here you are with Michelle Obama saying that Barack Obama is giving all the help to Nigeria. But before the Chibok girls incident happened, Nigeria went to the US government because they needed to buy weapons that they would use to fight Boko Haram. But before even Chibok happened, you guys have to understand how strong Boko Haram was in terms of weaponry. It had more than even the Nigeria's government army. So you are talking about a terror group that has more weapons than even your government's army. But Nigeria went to Barack's administration and they begged them to sell them these weapons so that they could be able to fight the army. But they were told no. Let me actually tell you what happened. The Nigeria ambassador, even to the US, Adebowale Ibidapo, he himself said that the Nigerian people and government felt abandoned by the US. And what excuse did the US give? And I believe that this is very, very straightforward. It's because they said the army, when the army would suspect any member of being a member, any person or any citizen of being a member of the Boko Haram, they would absolutely violate their human rights. And so the US government goes against selling weapons to a government that has been accused of violating the rights of any individual. And you would say, you know what? Yeah, that's actually true. Why would they assist Nigeria in this case? But now when Nigerians look back, they are like, we came to you when we couldn't do anything about this specific terrorist group. What you did, you actually closed your doors on us. So by the time Chibok is happening, you have a very, very frustrated president. You have a stronger terror group that is even stronger than your own army. and the whole world is looking at you, wanting answers and demanding for bring back our girls. A lot of controversies have arisen from the whole Chibok girls. There are people who have criticized how the Western media covered all this. There are people who have criticized how these girls' stories were documented. There are people who have even insinuated that this whole Chibok girls and, you know, the whole incident was ostracized or it came from the West. I don't know what you guys think. And this is a hard one to try and balance, because one hand you have so many girls who are missing, but on the other hand you have a government that is saying this is not what happened. And by the time it happened, we had begged the American government, we had begged even Barack's administration to come through for Nigeria, and they did not come through for Nigeria. So by the way Nigerians are viewing it is, why would you criticize us for trying to do I think there's also a video of Jonathan saying he does not know what happened to these girls. He has also admitted that there are instances where he feels that he failed because he should have made it his priority to make sure that his country was safe. So you have the Chibok girls events happening in 2014. That's the April of 2014. You have the whole world, because when something like that happens, and when people realize that this is happening in your country, people are going to caution their people. Like you will have America's government cautioning the people against even traveling or doing business with Nigeria. You will have the UK government issuing, you know, saying it's not safe to visit Nigeria. You will have people who are doing business in Nigeria not wanting to do business in Nigeria because they're scared of their safety, right? But as that is happening, then you are looking at 2014 being such a bad year for Nigeria. You have the kidnappings, you have the attacks, the economy is dwindling. This is not supposed to, you know, make the economy any better. If anything, this makes the economy worse. And this, you are coming from a very stabilized economy to an economy that no one cares about right now. So East, West, North and South, nothing good is happening in Nigeria. And as that is happening, 2015 is an election year in Nigeria. And then this is now where this is where Nigerians are faulting Barack Obama. Obviously, a lot of people agree the way the president then, Goodluck Jonathan, handled the events was not the best way to do it. But also people are questioning what is the relationship between Buhari and Barack Obama. Because right now you have people going into an election, you have Goodluck Jonathan here, and then you have Buhari here. And obviously, there is no way Goodluck Jonathan is going to win this election. People are looking at him as such an irresponsible leader. This is a leader who cannot guarantee the safety of his citizens. So you have Barack Obama in the midst of Nigeria's election. When things are so heated up, Barack sends this to the people of Nigeria. Let's play this particular video because it's going to be the baseline of so many accusations.
Hello. Today I want to speak directly to you, the people of Nigeria. Nigeria is a great nation, and you can be proud of the progress you've made. Together you've won your independence, emerged from military rule, and strengthened democratic institutions. You've strived to overcome divisions and turn Nigeria's diversity into a source of strength. You've worked hard to improve the lives of your families and to build the largest economy in Africa. Now you have a historic opportunity to help write the next chapter of Nigeria's progress by voting in the upcoming elections. For elections to be credible, they must be free, fair, and peaceful. All Nigerians must be able to cast their votes without intimidation or fear. So I call on all leaders and candidates to make it clear to their supporters that violence has no place in democratic elections, and that they will not incite, support, or engage in any kind of violence before, during, or after the votes are counted. I call on all Nigerians to peacefully express your views and to reject the voices of those who call for violence. And when elections are free and fair, it is the responsibility of all citizens to help keep the peace, no matter who wins. Successful elections and democratic progress will help Nigeria meet the urgent challenges you face today. Boko Haram, a brutal terrorist group that kills innocent men, women, and children, must be stopped. Hundreds of kidnapped children deserve to be returned to their families. Nigerians who have been forced to flee deserve to return to their homes. Boko Haram wants to destroy Nigeria and all that you have built. By casting your ballot, you can help secure your nation's progress. I'm told that there's a saying in your country, to keep Nigeria one is a task that must be done. Today, I urge all Nigerians, from all religions, all ethnic groups, and all regions, to come together and keep Nigeria one. And in this task of advancing the security, prosperity, and human rights of all Nigerians, you will continue to have a friend and partner in the United States of America.
Also, you can listen to that. That's Barack talking to the people of Nigeria. And now people are asking, why would a whole president in the United States send a message to the people of Nigeria on how to vote, advise them on who to vote for, not who to vote for, but the qualities they need in the person they are going to vote for? Why is Boko Haram and the kidnapped schoolgirls the basis also of his conversation? Why is he saying that America has stood with Nigeria when the other side, the Jonathan administration is saying, we have begged you people to sell these weapons to us, but you can't. But then on the other end, you have to ask yourself, how did Boko Haram become one of the biggest terrorist groups in the world? Because at this particular moment, it's been termed as the biggest terrorist groups in the world based on the number of people that it has unlived. So you have to ask yourself, how did it get these weapons? How did this group become so powerful that even the Nigerian government is begging the US government to sell them machinery so that they can be able to neutralize this situation? But then also here you have President Obama, who is obviously indirectly criticizing the Jonathan administration and is urging the people of Nigeria to vote for someone, like that whole video, and him also sending his secretary, because I believe there's a place where we see Barack Obama sending the US Secretary of State to Nigeria. Why are you sending a whole US Secretary of State to Nigeria in the middle of an election year? Why are you doing this? What are you trying to say? Why is the US Secretary also meeting Buhari? What are you trying to communicate? And later on, because Jonathan is going to lose this election by far, and he's going to lose this election on the basis of insecurity in his country, because Buhari comes and says that he's going to do away with Boko Haram. Let me tell you something. As Africans, the first thing you want to hear about someone who is coming in power is that they are able to do what this other person has not been able to do. If Buhari's campaign is based on restoring peace in his country, is based on ending corruption, because also the Jonathan's administration was highly accused of corruption, and then here you have a president that is telling you he's going to stamp out Boko Haram in the north, end corruption, etc., and he's getting great endorsements from the West. Who are you going to vote for? The people of Nigeria. Obviously, you are going to vote for Buhari. So Buhari wins this election, and speculations have been that Goodluck was not going to survive this because he did not give in to the demands of the West. And some of these demands were him being able to advocate for LGBTQ, all these things, right? So there's no way he was going to win because he did not sing to the tune of the West. But Buhari here appears to be one of the most favored people, one of the most favored candidates even by the West. And you can hear Obama sending a very strong message to the people of Nigeria to choose their leaders and choose choose them carefully. But later on, after Jonathan loses, because he loses and he says that his political ambition are not worth the blood of one single Nigeria. And you have to ask yourself, why would he say this? Why would he concede the election? Why would he say, by the way, this thing here, this presidency is not worth any Nigerian shedding their blood? So does it mean that he speculated there was going to be shedding of blood if he did not concede the election? Right? So later on, I believe it's in an interview with BBC, this is what Goodluck Jonathan would allege. Let's listen to his allegation, because they were heavy.
The level of interference by the Obama's government was very overwhelming. It's not as if I couldn't have won the election even with that. But if, by my own thinking, and also the way some other people looked at it, they go outside the normal diplomatic relationship, then it should be mentioned. Sending that person to Nigeria at the eve of election, after Obama even issued a statement directing Nigerians to vote for the next chapter, that tells you something. And we should not sweep these things under the carpet. If a foreign country, or an African country, or even America or any other country interferes with our own elections, we should mention it.
So that's Nigeria's ex-president Goodluck Jonathan on Obama's interference in 2015 election bid. He says even him sending the US Secretary of State back then to Nigeria, that portrayed a very bad picture, because why are you interfering? Why are you here, America? Why are you in Nigeria? And what does Nigeria's election have to do with your country? What does it have to do with America? And now he's admitting, he's saying, you know what, by the way, it is what it is. You interfered with our election. I don't care. I don't want to be the president. I will concede, and it's not a must. And then later on, you will hear Nigeria's Chief of Defense, General Usman, talking about these particular NGOs, because now we have to make a correlation between how strong Boko Haram was in terms of weaponry. How did they achieve to do what they still do even at this particular point? And why do you have a whole general correlating these events with the existence of NGOs in Nigeria? Let's listen to that.
NGOs, you know, there are so many things. If we want to go into NGO issues, there are so many things I had. Initially, when the NGOs came in, when we started, they didn't want any oversight function. They didn't want us to know where they were going to. We had issues with that, because now they will go into the enclave of the terrorists and go and treat them. You are treating the same people that is attacking the communities. You tell them no, that you are neutral. How neutral can you be? We've had situations where allegations of arms, them conveying arms to us just to make sure that the war continues. We've had situations where they will tell you they are taking food to communities. Halfway, tell you the trailer has broken down. By next morning, the trailer is empty. And that vehicle that is broken down, the driver will just go and drive it and take it back. So what had happened? You have funded those guys. You are taking care of them equally. We've had several situations like that. So we said, no, it can't continue like that. And that's why we insisted with the state government that, look, the state government must know what's going on. So if any NGO comes, it must be registered. We must monitor what's going on. We've had situations where NGOs will come in with unidentified individuals entering communities. You don't even know what they're doing. They don't have NGO ID cards. They are not part of the government. Who is taking them to know? What are they going there for? And so by the time we start monitoring what they were doing, we noticed things started getting better. So which means something is going on somewhere. Because they come from all over the world and you don't know who is who. So that's why for every country, please regulate what the NGOs are doing, monitor what they're doing. Most times you hear them telling you that you spent $10 million and then you wonder where. Most times the money is spent on themselves, on their luxuries. The hotels they stay, the vehicles they are using and all those things. The locals don't benefit much from them. And yet this thing keeps on. I've told you, somebody will come and pay for a house for 10 years ahead. So what is he trying to tell you? This thing will never end until after 10 years, or maybe he will renew it. And again, I always remember that if there is peace and the threat level is low, one, they are going to retrench them. Two, their hazard allowance will reduce. How many of them will want that? We're not saying all of them are bad. No, some are really doing very well. Some are extremely doing very well. But again, please don't just assume they're just monitor what's going on, monitor what's being spent. I think it's important. I think we've dealt with the issue.
There's the last one of extermination of the...
oh, when is it going to end? Maybe I should ask you, when is criminality going to end? What was being spent? I think it's something that we...
Yeah, so I think we end it there when he says continue monitoring. And there's something that he has said that is very interesting. Some of these NGOs, the officials, they will come and rent or even say they are going to stay in this particular house for 10 years. So if you are here to make sure there is peace, why do you still want to be here in 10 years? If your main agenda is to make sure that, for example, Kenya is experiencing peace, why do you want to rent this place for 10 years? Does it mean you don't believe in the agenda? Does it mean you don't believe in the vision? Does it mean the more the war, the better for you? And I also love what the general said. They will say they spent 10 million, but you look left, right, and center. Where did you spend this money? And the whole aspect of NGOs not wanting to be, monitored, that's crazy. If you are going to come to Africa in terms of aid and you don't want to be monitored, well, what do you mean you don't want to be monitored? How will we know you are not even the head of the terrorist group yourself? Like, how will you know even the things that you are moving around are genuine or legit? And the general is saying, we will fight with the terrorists, and you're still the same people who will go and offer them treatment, food, equality, and you expect us to win this war. I don't think we are going to win this war at all. And I love where the African conversation is heading in terms of NGOs. I'm beginning to also think that NGOs are Africa's biggest enemy, especially the fact that they are so heavily funded and some of them don't want to be monitored. That is actually a red flag. But let's go back to Nigeria, because this conversation was about Nigeria. After all these things happened, it's very sad to look at Africa's biggest economy in a situation where it is right now. So many things have changed in Nigeria. The level of unemployment is high. Of course, insecurity makes any country, it destabilizes any country, and you don't expect even trade, or you don't expect even international relations to be the same. You are looking at a country that has absolutely huge decreased economic growth. You are looking at a country, once again, that has a high level of unemployment. You are looking at a country that still insists that the US government or Obama's administration interfered with its election. And this is now what we should, as Africans, we need to start asking these questions. I saw during one of the proceedings here in Kenya, you have even members of the West in parliament. What are you doing in our parliament? What are you looking at? Like, ninini munaangalia? What is it that you're actually looking for by following these proceedings just to see whether they are fair? It's very absurd to see a report where USAID said that America spent almost $7 billion for tax advice in Liberia. So you are having USAID spend $17 billion to come and advise an African country on its tax issues. What are we talking about? That's a lot of money. Are they advising you, or they are helping take some of your resources? And this conversation about Barack's administration interfering with Nigeria's election, and knowing that USAID, according to Scott Perry again, allegedly funded these particular groups. Because one of the things you need to start asking yourself is, how do these terror groups get such strong weapons? Can you imagine? Like, you have a whole group with weapons you as a government you might not even ever have access to. So how did they access this particular machinery? How does that happen, right? So I would really be interested in knowing your views on this particular issue. What is happening between Barack? What is happening, what is happening between Barack and Nigerians? Do you actually think Barack Obama interfered with the economic growth and the security of Nigeria? Do you think he is still the African leader that you guys thought he was? Because for us, I think as Africans, there was celebration everywhere that America is getting its first African president, African-American president. There were a lot of people had hopes. Even the African governments had hope. And maybe this is what is wrong with us as a continent, is that we believe people like Barack Obama were in power to save Africa. Africa needs to wake up and save itself, not only from countries or continents such as America, but it needs to save itself from its own stupidity. You expecting because someone is half Kenyan or half whatever that he's going to change the whole world for you. And you see, that's why the people in America are laughing about this whole USAID situation. Africans are here complaining, but them, they are like, yeah, that's our money. And that's not what we think our money should have been used for. I can't wait to see how this unfolds. These are very, very strong allegations in front of Congress. I know they are obviously going to take it seriously, but I think one thing remains, that these terror groups, they cannot just survive without help from somewhere. Whether this help is coming through USAID, whether this help is coming through some of them key politicians in these governments in Africa, whether this help is coming from, but obviously someone is giving them this help, and that's how they are able to maneuver so quickly. Let me know what your thoughts are. I'm really interested also hearing from people in Nigeria what your thoughts are about these particular allegations. Do you strongly believe that Barack and Biden's administration had a role to play in how Nigeria is today? And what hope do you have for this specific country, Nigeria, which is sad? It's sad to know that this was once the biggest economy in Africa, and that through activities and the leadership of someone like Obasanjo, the country was able to come from absolutely nothing to something. So leave your thoughts on the comment section. Let me know what other topics you think we should look up to, and hopefully I see you tomorrow on this same platform. And don't forget to leave your views on the comment section. Bye.